Good morning. Sorry. My name is Brian Teasdale. I'm the Executive Director of our School of Natural Sciences and the Associate Dean of the College of Natural Applied and Health Sciences, and it's my pleasure to introduce one of our faculty, one of our adjunct faculty, who came to me and said, I'd really like to present your professional development days. And so it's really nice to see that sort of engagement from our part-time faculty here at Kane University. Let me give you a little bit of background. This is Dr. David Mwangi. He'll be giving the presentation. He's a full-time employee at the East Orange Board of Education as the STEM trainer. In addition to his, and that was one thing I checked with him, I said, you had to take a day off of work today to come here. And he said, yes, he took a personal day so that he could spend some time talking about some of the things that he's passionate about with us in education. In addition to that, he is a certified Google trainer, and that's some of what he's going to be talking about with us today. But he's also a Kane alum. He finished his master's degree in biotechnology here at Kane University, and then followed that up with a PhD in immunology at UMDNJ. So that's enough from me. I'd just like to introduce Dr. David Mwangi.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tisdale. As he said, I've been in education for a long time. Right now, I'm doing training for teachers at the East Orange Board of Education. And I also teach here in the biology department. I teach virology and microbiology. And I have been using technology with my students for the last 2 years, basically Google Classroom and other G Suite utilities. And I have been impressed by the degree of engagement that they have shown. And I have also seen that you can transfer most of the work to the students so you do less work, which is always good. And in that way, you kind of transfer the honors of learning to them, reducing the amount of work you are doing researching. They do most of the researching themselves. I'm going to go through my agenda for today, what I want to cover, and that is I'm going to try to convince you to use G Suite tools, which are freely available. Kane has the G Suite tools already in the system. Your students' emails are already uploaded onto the G Suite. You are also in there as a teacher, and it's there's no additional cost to it, and the students already know how to use it. And then I'm going to go into Google Classroom basics, then how to create interactive activities and collaborative activities, how to use HyperDoc to flip the classroom so most of the work gets done outside of the class. And when the students come in, they already have the content in, and you're basically going to engage them, questioning and high-quality discussions. And also these are tools available to give feedback, immediate feedback, to the students. Basically, as they are doing their work on Google Classroom, you'll be able to see it, and you can give immediate feedback to them. Finally, time allowing, I will go into peer review, how to have students review each other's work, which is really strong because they can be able to see from the other end how you do it and what are you looking for. All right, so I'm going to ask you to indulge me a little bit. So if you have a laptop, cell phone, or a tablet, if you can please go to classroom.google.com, and then we're going to log in with your Kane email and your email password. That's going to be classroom.google.com. right? And once in there, you're going to go to the plus sign on top of the class and join the class using the code below. That's exactly how you're going to have your students enroll or log into your class when you eventually create one. Student. So that's the code you're going to need. And the code is usually available here. So this is how the classroom looks. I can't get this to display very well, but basically this is how the class will look. And you have three major items or features here. That's the stream, the students, and the about section. So those are the three major things you're going to have to worry about. I'm going to start with the student section here. This is where you invite your students. You can't start your class until you have students in. There are two ways of inviting them. One is through the code, which is here. So you're going to go there, and then you display the code, and you can make it even larger to fill the screen if you're in a big room like this, so they can all see that code. Another way is to invite them by email. So you can click Invite Students. So if you're sitting at home and you have all their email addresses, you can invite them by email. They'll see it before they come to class. They click on it and join your class. So when you come in, you don't have to go through the sign-in process. So you can do it prior to the class. And that's basically it. If you want to remove a student, for instance, there are those three dots, right, towards the end of the student's name. If you click on that, you can email the students, or you can select the student's name, then go to action, right on top there, and you can remove that student if they transfer out, they drop the class. And if they are inappropriate or for whatever reason you would like to mute them, you can do that too, using the mute button so they can see all the activities going on in the class, but they're not going to be able to contribute. And then we go to the About section. I'm saving the stream for last because that's where you have most fun with. In the About section is where you post your resources for the class. So any resource that the students will need throughout the semester, you can post them here. So for our kids, I have uploaded today's PowerPoint, today's slides here, so you can open the slides from here. I don't have much else there. But this is where you would load the syllabus. This is where you would load any items that the students will need throughout the year. The code, let me go back. I have to go back to the student section, go to the class code, and display that. Right? All right, so now we go to the stream, because this is the heart of Google Classroom. This is where you distribute work to the students. This is where you grade their work. This is where you see what they're doing. I have posted a couple of things. Oh, I see Ed Johnson has already replied to my question there. The first thing you do is to go to this plus sign down here. And there are a couple of things you can do here. You can either reuse an old post from another class. So if I am teaching micro last semester, I'm teaching micro again this semester. I might have some assignment that I did that I think is good, and I want to redo that again. So it saves you the work of reestablishing an entire assignment. You can create a quick question in the class. So if you have a hinge question, you're moving from a basics explanation and you want to move to another concept that requires the students to understand the basics, you have a hinge point there and you want to make sure that the students actually get, you want to see if they got the basics, you can ask a hinge question right here in classroom. You can make it a multiple choice, or you can have an open-ended question as well. I'm going to save assignment for us, and I'm going to go through announcement. So if you want to, an announcement is similar to an email that you're going to send your entire group of students. They will not be able to turn in anything here. They're just saying what you're sending to them, and you may attach. You may have an attachment here. You can attach from your computer. You can also pick an item from your Google Drive that you want the students to to review. You can attach a YouTube video directly from here, or you can attach a link maybe to an article that you want the students to go over, and then you post that. That's the plus sign right here. So if you go to the plus sign down here, and then the first thing that comes up is announcement, right? And then you go there to assignment. And I'm going to create an assignment right now so you can see where we're going with this. I don't want to create an announcement. I'm going to create an assignment. Now, assignment is where you want your students to turn in work to you so you can grade it. There are several ways of doing this, and I'm going to create an assignment just so you can see it. So you have to have a title, so I'm going to call this EdTech question, for instance. And you can give the instructions there. You can give a due date for the assignment, and the students will be able to see this date. And when this date passes, it turns red, showing them that they are late to turn in the assignment, which is usually helpful. And you can create a topic here as well. So I'm going to go to my drive. Usually you want to go to your drive to pick the assignment. Why? Because Google Docs, Google Slides, and the spreadsheets are all interactive. That means they're living live documents. So you can see exactly what the student is doing. You can have a group of students working on the same document concurrently. So it has several collaborative advantages to using Drive as opposed to picking a Word document from your computer. So I'm going to go to my Drive here, and I'll pick the EdTech question, which I've already pre-created. And the next step is really important. If I assign this as students can view file, it will be just like sending them a PDF. They will be able to read it, but they cannot type into it. However, if you go to the down arrow right next to students can view, you see you have several options coming up. You have students can edit file and make a copy for each student. What's the difference? Now, if you select students can edit file, that means you want all the students in that class to type into the same document, which is fine as long as you have pre-planned your activity that way. So for instance, you can have a slide deck in which you have a different question on each slide with a student's name, a separate student's name on each slide. So basically you are assigning one student, one slide. And if you assign that way, all the students will be able to type into the same slide deck, and that will be fine if you do students can edit file. However, if I want to distribute a worksheet so that every student gets a copy of the same worksheet, which is huge because now I don't have to go to the copy machine and find a line there 10 minutes before class, right, to make copies for the student. You can do it digitally. So I'll just go in and make a copy for each student. And then I have even more options. I can assign immediately, if it's during class, for instance, or for homework, or I can go to the down arrow and click on schedule. So if it's a quiz, and I want to create this quiz during my preparation time, I can do that, and then schedule that quiz so that it becomes active 15, 20 minutes before end of class, for instance, if that's the way I want to plan that. You can also save it as a draft, so if you haven't decided when, how you want to assign it, but you have time to create the activity, you're sitting in a plane somewhere or you have some downtime, you can save that as a draft and it will become active when you come back and look at the draft. And we'll go through that later. So right now I'm going to assign this question. And everybody who has a laptop or an iPad, oh, I'm getting into some trouble here. Please let me know as soon as you can see it, those who are already logged into Classroom, if you see the assignment in your stream. Okay, sure, absolutely, sure. That's another thing. So as you update the stream, students who will have their Classroom open will have the option to click on Show to show any updates that you have made. And so if you open that EdTech question that I have distributed to you, and the Wi-Fi is really slow, so bear with me. Yeah, so we're having some trouble with the internet, but sorry? It did get sent? All right, so once you get it, start typing into it, and then I want to show how it looks on the other end here at some point. So while that is updating, we don't have to stop there. We can go, so please, when you get a chance, open the slides. It's going to be in the About section of my class. And you can also access these same slides here. They are heavy with hyperlinks, so I have linked a lot of documents to these slides. So later on, if you want to find out, say, how to open a new Google Classroom for your students, you can always come back to these slides, and there'll be some instructions for you there. Also, I'd like for you to sign in to the training today here, if you get a chance. So sign in there. Just to reiterate and underline that schools now, and this is for the education department mainly and for pre-service teachers, schools are starting to demand or to require that teachers have Google certification, become Google certified educators before they hire them. So some schools are already starting to demand that, to ask for that. So if you're in the education department, that is something you might want to mention to your students. About 0.7 million teachers countrywide have trained with Google already. And there's an article there from New York Times that shows how impactful Google is becoming in the education field. Fortunately for the teachers, we also have, we are also consultants here. We have a consulting company for K through 20 professional development, so our brochure is right there for them. So why do we have to, why is it necessary to integrate technology into education, especially into college education? First thing is we need to model 21st century skills. We want to transfer the honors of learning to the students, and technology can make this possible for us. We want to keep the students awake to the extent that is possible, and keep them engaged at the same time. We want to use resources that are already available. For the last 1 year, I haven't made a single copy when I'm going to class. Google Classroom is already available to us. We are saving paper. We are encouraging collaboration between students. We are giving immediate feedback. So there's all the advantages. I know we have Blackboard, but Blackboard misses a couple of these critical collaborative features that Google Classroom and G Suite utilities have. It makes it easier to create workflow in the class. and it's easier to acquire data. For example, if you use Google Forms to have your students sign into your class, you get very good data of showing when students show up and when they don't. If you use Google Forms again for quizzes, gives you very easily visible data for that. All right? And also you're working with live documents. And again, as we mentioned a couple of times, it reduces paper use. It also helps to meet some of the 7 principles of good practice in undergraduate education. Actually, most of them, maybe only 3 that you don't meet if you're using G Suite for utilities. And these are the G Suite features. So we have Google Drive, and this is where all the files and folders are stored. We have Google Classroom, which is our focus today. We have Mail, which we use every day. We have Calendar. We have Google Docs, which is similar to Word, only better. We have the spreadsheet, which is similar to Excel. We have Google Slide, similar to PowerPoint. And we have Google Forms, which is similar to nothing that Microsoft offers and feeds the spreadsheet with data, where you can go and sort the data and create graphs and all that good stuff. And I have, if you want to know a little bit more about them, I have hyperlinked resources onto each of them on the next slide, so you can read a little bit more if you have time. And so we have gone through the basics of Google Classroom. Let me go and find out if everything worked out well. Here, apparently not. Open it again. Oh, good. So the question was, what is your view regarding the use of digital technology as a teaching tool? Now, if I go back to the class which I created, I can see 43 people are signed into my class. Only 5 people have done the work. That's not good. All right? So immediately you can see that. And if I look at the ones that are done and I want to grade it, all I have to do is open that, and I can see their names. I hope you don't mind me opening your assignment here, because that's what I'm about to do. I can open their work immediately. And while that is loading, I can also see those people who are not done here. The 42 who are not done. And maybe I can show them an announcement, right, from the stream, just reminding them about the due assignments. Yeah, it's a little slow, but we can move on there. We'll come back to that. All right, so if you have opened the slide, we are having some trouble with the connectivity. If you have opened the slides, we are right here. So with Google Classroom, you won't need to use paper anymore. It's going to be your classroom portal. So what happens in my class is that when the students come in, the first thing they do is open their Google Classroom to find out what announcements or what assignments I have for them. And another advantage of using Classroom is that if you post an assignment or an announcement, and then a few minutes later you decide maybe that's not what I wanted to do, you can delete that assignment, that announcement, and if students haven't seen it yet, they won't know that you had made a mistake, for example, which is very different from an email. If you send an email, it's gone. You have to send another email to correct the previous, what you wanted to say. So I'm going to show you a sample of my classrooms that I have, and maybe that will give you an idea of Oh, so sorry. So the internet is good, okay, so far. So I'm going to, she says interesting. So if I want to grade Karen's work, I have several options. It's very easy to grade this one. So I can go to the comment section, click on comment, then comment, and I can write a comment to Karen right here. So I can say, for instance, give some additional details, and then I can send a comment to her. So Karen, wherever you are, can you see that? Karen, can you see that comment? All right, so I'm sure she can see that comment. So the comment will become visible immediately to the student. Another option you have is where you have this pen here on the top right. If you click on the down arrow, you have a suggesting mode there, which is similar to the tracking mode in Microsoft Word. So if I want to delete the word interesting, now I can delete, but it doesn't go away. It just, so internet is a little slow again, but it pulls a line through the word and sends a message to Karen saying that there has been a suggestion to delete this word and replace it with something else. And she can either accept or reject that. So I'm going to show you my class so you can see, you can have an idea of how this will look. While that is opening, I may have to go and look at something else here that you can do. So one tip that I have for creating activities that are visible through Google Classroom is to have an interactive syllabus. So what I do with my syllabus is that it's going to change. It may change with time. So I make it so that it's interactive. And any new changes I make, the students will be able to see them immediately. All right, so I'm going to go back a little bit here now that the internet is working. So I'm going to keep going back and forth between my slides and Google Classroom. All right, so this is my upcoming microbiology class. And I set up the class already. The class is starting on next week. All right, so I'm going to have to go back here again. So if you create an interactive syllabus, you can hyperlink slides onto it for your lectures so that it becomes easier for the students to see any new changes that you make when you're updating your slides. It's very difficult to do this when, so bear with me a little. Bless you. All right, we'll come back to that. So in addition to the interactive syllabus, in which you have linked slides onto that, you can also have team review slides. And I mentioned this earlier. So you can develop a deck of slides, place one question on each slide, and then assign each slide to a student. You can be able to write comments on that slide as the student are writing their responses. You can look at those responses and make comments on them. If they are missing any important concepts that you think should be there during this review, you can add them yourself onto their slides, or you can suggest to them that they add it. So that's the second tip there. You can do the same exact thing on Google Docs, but this time have a table. And then on the first column, you have the student name. On the second column, you can have the assignment. And on the third column, you can have the hyperlinked articles or videos that you want the students to view. And on the fourth column, you leave it blank for them to write their answers. So we'll look at this when we get connected back to the internet here. Now, one good feature with using Google Docs and Google Slides is that they have an embedded research feature. It's called an Explore feature. So if you're lucky enough to have internet right now, you can open a Google Docs document, and on the bottom right, you're going to see a plus sign, and if you click on that, it says Explore on it. If you click on that, you'll be able to see a small window opening, and you'll be able to see the research feature. So the students don't have to get out of their work that they're doing in order to research an article or a book, or a website. So they can do it straight from the Google Docs document they're working on. So this research feature is available in Google Docs. It's also available in Google Slides as well. Another website that I use a lot is called Answer Garden. So these are brainstorming website. So it's actually a board where students can post their thinking, their answers onto. So you can ask them a question that requires them to brainstorm, and as they post their answers, everybody can be able to see their answers on the board, and you can ask them questions based on their responses. It's called Answer Garden. Similar to that is Padlet. Padlet, again, is an online post-it board. Again, students can be able to post their answers there. And to join this and to enroll, to sign up, it takes less than a minute. All you're going to need to do is to email the students the link to that particular Padlet that you created, and they'll be able to post their answers there. And I have hyperlinked all this here, so even if the internet is not very helpful to us today, you can be able to do that later on and go there later on and take a look at that. Another one which is very common and which I use also a lot is Poll Everywhere. Poll Everywhere helps with hinge questions. So I'm teaching this concept. I want to move to a slightly more difficult concept that requires material from the concept I just taught, and I want to make sure that they got it. I want to find out if I need to go back and review a little bit. So I send this question that is kind of diagnostic, and I do that using Poll Everywhere. So let me take advantage of this real quick. I think we have some internet back. So the first thing I do here, I have my stream, which is empty, but my About section, which is for my upcoming class, I have the sign-in form for them. So every time the student comes in, there's no paper, there's nothing. They just go here, click on that form, sign in. I have their names already. Fortunately, I have about 12 students. But even if you have 40 kids, it just takes about 10 minutes or so to just write their first or their last name. You don't need all their names. For me, I have type of class. You don't need that. I have a lab and lecture. So if you only have lecture, you don't need that section at all. And it may send a copy of the responses to the student. So once they sign in, it sends a copy to their email showing them that they sign, and then they submit, and that's all. So every class, they do that. And I can control, this is how you create the form, by going to forms.google.com, right? Go to forms.google.com, and you'll be able to click on the blank form and create this form here. So you can be able to control from the responses here when to accept or not accept responses. So I only activate this form during class, or maybe the first 10, 15 minutes based, depending on what your classroom rules are. During the first 15 minutes, this form is active. As soon as 15 minutes is over, I block so the student cannot sign in. Some of them are really good, and they will try to sign in for their friend. So there is a way to get around that, and the form automatically collects the email of the person that has responded. So I can be able to look, oh, your email and name don't match. And so we need to have a conversation about integrity there. So this works out very well for me. I don't need any papers. And additionally, and even better, I get the data. I like the data that comes out of it. So I can be able to see, for each student, I can be able to see how they're actually attending the class in one look. This is basically, I just did one response just to show how it looks. But with time, the pie charts look a little different. And you can open a spreadsheet there, which will take you to a spreadsheet that will show basically the same information. I'm trying to go fast because I don't know how the internet is going to work in a few seconds. I use ThinkWave to record students' grades. So I have a link here, so they have access to their grades at any one time, which is good for me because I can't be lazy with the grading because I'm going to hear from them. So as soon as students get their work done on Google Classroom, I pick up the grade and put it on ThinkWave. So at any one time, the student knows where they are with the grading, and I'm not using the grade as a secret weapon. I have absolutely no concerns at the end of the semester regarding grading because they have been with their grades for the entire semester. So I don't deal with that at all. And any other, I give homework using the Mastering Microbiology thing, and then I have my syllabus here. So if I click on my syllabus, for example, hoping the internet will work for me, there it is. So I have the housekeeping stuff at the beginning there for the syllabus, and then at the end, you can put, this is what I was talking about, the link. You can link your slides on here to your syllabus, so the students have access to them. And if you change the slides, the students will have access to the most recent slides that you have uploaded. So you don't have to send another slide attachment to the students through email. They have access to it here. So how do you link? How do you hyperlink? So to hyperlink is this, you just copy the link to the PowerPoint slides. So if you copy the link, and then you highlight the word you want to hyperlink, and then you'll go to Insert, and then Link, right? And then if I paste that there and apply, the word introduction becomes linked to this syllabus. Even better, and this is what I do, even better, I delete everything up to including the word edit and replace that with the word copy. What that does is that next time the student tries to open that link, don't know if it's going to work, but it asks the students to make a copy of those slides, right? Instead of opening the actual slide that you created, it's going to ask the students to make a copy of those slides, which helps protect your original slides. All right, so poll everywhere, please indulge me if this is open. I have a question there, hyperlinked to the word poll everywhere, if you take that. And if you want to sign up to poll everywhere to give these diagnostic questions, you can do that, polleverywhere.com. It's very, very easy. And then as soon as you answer the question, I'll be able to see the data here. So my question is, internet? Oh, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I don't think I have that port. That's okay. We'll make it work. All right, so that doesn't work very well. But you'll be able to, I pasted the results here, so you'll be able to do that. If you click on poll everywhere and sign up, they'll take you through the steps on how to do that. So again, I mentioned going to Google Forms and creating a sign-in form for the students. It's very easy to do that. Again, for meetings, you can do the same thing for meetings. So you don't have to have binders and binders upon binders of meeting sign-ins. So you can create one form that people can come in and just click on their names, and in that way sign in. Whoops. Say that again. Oh, that works perfect. Okay. Okay, thank you. Good. I think we're okay. Don't touch it. All right. Oh, thank you so much. I think the internet is going to work better now. I think that's the brightest we can do for the screen right now. So you can do the same thing for meetings. If you have regular meetings, that will work very well for me. Another thing that you can do is use Google Forms for creating quizzes. And to create a quiz or create a Google form, that's a blank form, so you'll just go to forms.google.com and give a title to your form there. And then create a question, and then you can choose to have a short answer, a paragraph, or multiple choice. If you use multiple choice, Google Forms will automatically grade the quiz for you, and you'll get a graded quiz at the other end. Again, it's going to take a little longer than that. So another option I use is quizzes, which also is another example of online quizzing feature. So you use your Gmail account, which you already have if you're a keen employee. And quizzes keeps all your quizzes, and it can give you very good reports on the quizzes themselves. So for instance, if I have this quiz that I gave last semester, you can see the data here very clearly here. So if you can look at the questions here, right? So it gives you the data per question. So you can be able to see if there are any areas that you need to revisit with the students based on how they do in that area. So Google Forms and quizzes, you can look at them later on, are very good with providing you actionable data that you can use to make decisions as you teach. But the most powerful feature that you can use to flip a classroom or to change the way you teach is hyperdocs. So hyperdoc transfer most of the work. You'll do a little bit of work when you're preparing them, but once you're done, it transfers most of the honors to the student themselves. It's highly engaging, and hyperdocs are just online documents with very many hyperlinks, and an example is my slides there. They have a lot of links to them that have been created deliberately and in a strategic manner. So they have, for example, to involve the 5E model. So they have to be an engagement piece, an explore piece. So the engagement is to capture the student's imagination. The explore piece allows the students to research. The explain piece gives the student an opportunity to explain based on how they have researched. The elaborate piece allows them to create something or answer a question or solve a problem based on what they have done so far. And the last piece allows for self-reflection. That's the evaluate piece on the student, or it allows for peer review of the students to be able to see how they're doing. It includes the 4 Cs, which are the 21st century skills as well. So we are trying to have the students have these collaborative skills, communication skills, creativity, critical thinking, which are the skills that employers are looking for. So it's no longer, I have a 4.0 GPA, as you know, it's how well I can work with others. Am I able to problem solve? So those are the skills they are looking for. These hyperdocs are able to help with that. And I'll give you a very good example of the one I have for my class. So when they come in on Tuesday, on next week, I have created one for them. So, and you can open up on your slides there. You'll see it. And there is an engage piece. So what I do is I give them an answer garden I ask them a question. What do you know about microorganisms? Very basic. And they'll go and research and come up with responses, and they'll put them all on an answer garden here. So basically what they'll type their answer here, and the responses will appear here for everybody to see in the class, right? And then the next thing I do is give them an explore piece, which I go to the website called ThingLink, and ThingLink is very good for linking different things onto, they do the work for you. So you can take some time and look at that. So I have several things linked on this for microorganisms. So I'm going to demand that they go through each of these linked items. Watch the videos there, look at the activities there. It's going to take them a whole week to do these activities. And I also have an article for them to read. Okay? I have an infographic, which is right here for them to look at. So by the time, I'm not teaching this in the lecture, right? I have slides for this first lecture, but by the time they come in, they already are very knowledgeable in this, and they have questions that they want answered. So I'll be dealing more with high-level thinking questions that they'll be able to bring forth in the class. So, and then I have an explain feature here, where I have them watch a video on microorganisms, and then after the video, I have them, I use a Padlet, so they're going to go to the Padlet and answer the question here. So just dump their answers here, right? And then the elaborate piece, I have them work in a group to create a Google slide, 5 minutes, teach your peers all that you have learned so far in 5 minutes as a group. And then evaluate piece, I have a peer review document here, which is a Google form that their peers will use to evaluate them in the class. And they can be able to see which areas they need to work on better during their next presentation. And I have a series of these presentations, some for 30 minutes, some 5 minutes, which gives them the chance to practice collaboration one, because they're working in a group, and also communication. So that's how a hyperdoc should look, and that could be a template. You can take that, use that as a template, delete all the stuff that's in there and put in your own, and that 5E process doesn't change, remains the same. We have gone through how to hyperlink there. So we move on to student peer feedback. What opportunities do we provide to students for peer feedback? And one of them is allowing them to comment and suggest edits to each other's work. So if the students are working in a group, they have this one document, one slide that they are preparing. For example, for my students, the 5-minute presentation they will do, they'll work on that as a group. They'll be at their homes in different counties, but they can be working on the same document. And then they can make suggestions and edits on each other's works as they do that. So they can be able to use the comment and suggested edit space just like you would. The second thing they can do is you can create a form, a peer review form for them. So you can have a form that collects their email because we want to make sure that they're giving objective feedback to their peer. So we collect their email. So regardless of what email they put here, the system already collects the actual email. And then what their name is, who they are reviewing on that particular day. And then they go through the review. They'll just click on this rubric where that fits in. So this is the claim evidence and reasoning rubric. So they can be able so you can create a rubric for that on Google Form. And this will go to, for instance, this will go to the responses here, and you can be able to see all the responses. You can also open a spreadsheet and create a new spreadsheet, and that will transfer all the responses to this spreadsheet. So you can share this spreadsheet with your students, or you can post it on Google Classroom, so you don't have to share it. If you post it on Google Classroom, and change the permissions here to view permission, so they cannot be able to change anything on that spreadsheet, but they'll be able to view how they did and make changes accordingly. Now, I want to go back to Google Classroom, the pieces that we were not able to do because of internet issues. All right, so in order to create a class, you will be here. So once you log into your classroom, if you can do that, if you already have a tablet or a computer, please do that so that you can create your first class. It's as easy as clicking on this plus sign here. So if you click on that plus sign, you can do one of two things, either join or create a class. We already joined a class, so if you create a class there, right, and give it a name, you have your first class. So if whatever class you're teaching, if you just indulge me and just create one, because that will kind of push you towards using it, that would be great. So it's taking a little long to do that. But that's how you create your first class, and there it is, right? And so you can now start doing the students, inviting them by email or using the code. And if you don't like the code, you can always reset it. If you have a 0, which students may confuse with an O and so on, you can always reset that to a better code that you can use. And then, again, you can upload your syllabus there. The last thing I want to go over is how to use this add-on. It's called Appender. It's very useful for grading student work in Google Classroom. And to get Appender, you just go to the Google form that you have, and then go to these 3 dots at the end. I think the internet is acting up. And once here, you go to add-ons. And one of the add-ons you can get is Appender here. So if you search for it, you'll be able to get it. It says free here. You click on it. And once you add it on one form, you're going to have it in all your other forms. So what does Appender allow us to do? Appender will allow you to create a form, a rubric form, that you can use to grade all your assignments in Google Classroom without having to make a copy of them. And I'm going to go to my class here and take this class here, for instance. And I go to the About section, I open my Google Drive. And in Google Drive, if you click on Drive, you will see a classroom folder which Google Classroom automatically creates and places all your classes. Each of your class will have an automatically created Google Classroom folder by Google Classroom. So I have this folder here, which is the faculty folder, and I have the templates of all the work that I have given. So if I go to the EdTech question here, this is the question I gave earlier. So I can go to Google Class. I can go to my form. I create a form here. For example, I can use this I can create a form here with a rubric, and then I can add doc appender, which is already added. I can start it, kick it off. So do doc appender, open sidebar. It's a little slow. But what doc appender, let me mention just, what it does is that it takes all the assignments you have in that class and then grades them. You grade them using this, and it appends a copy of the graded rubric at the bottom of the student's assignment. So I'm gonna just open one that is already done because this is taking too long, so you can see how that works. So it's going to give, this is how it looks when you're done. So here's a copy of the feedback, and it will show you how they did in each of the areas that you were grading for that particular rubric. So this was, for example, a presentation rating. So we have all the different components for that presentation and how the student did in each one of them. So if they look at that, they'll see, oh, I'm not doing very well in good eye contact or whatever it is, and then they can work on that. And next time, if they compare this with what they get in the next presentation, they shouldn't see that as a problem because they probably worked on it some more. So let me go to and look at something we didn't mention here because of the internet, and that's the Explore feature, because I think it's really powerful. The Explore feature is really powerful. So if you have a Google Docs document, you see this plus sign here towards the bottom right. If you click on that, it opens a small window. And then when you go there, you can search for anything, right? And it gives you the option to search in the web. And it tells you what all the stuff is. Oh, and by the way, another cool trick you can use. If you don't want all stuff showing up when you're searching for something, you want only educational material, you can always put a colon and then write edu. So whatever search you're doing, put a colon and edu, and it kind of filters all the garbage out, so you only have material that's useful education-wise. So it allows you to search for images too, which you can always, the student can drag and drop onto their work here directly, and they can resize it and do all the good stuff with it. It also allows the students to go directly to the drive and pick material from their drive. But what I like even better is the citation feature here. So if you hover over any of these results, you'll see two quotation marks. That allows the student to put a footnote, right? It allows the student to put a footnote on the page, so if they like that. Even better, there is an add-on you can use, which is called Easy BIB, that allows you to put an endnote complete with a number on it, which is in-text cited automatically It's called Easy BIB. So if you go to add-ons here, when you're in Google Docs, you can get Easy BIB, and I think I have it already somewhere. Yep, that one. So you can go to get add-ons and get it. But once you have it, this is what it allows you to do. It allows you to cite a book, cite a journal article, or cite a website directly. And again, if I search that term, and I search for a journal article on DNA, it allows you to choose which citation style I want to use. So every professor I know has a different way in which they want, or every department may have a different citation style. They are all here, all of them. So the student will go in there. You should have seen the look on my students' faces when we did this for the first time. So they just click on what citation style they want to use, and then they add that article onto so they can select, so I want to use APA, and I can select that article. And once I do that, I can add it to my, at the end, as no longer a footnote, but an endnote at the end of my document. And it actually automatically creates a reference page for me and places that, that particular citation there. So that's really, really powerful. Something that could have taken 20 minutes to do is done with one click of the pen. And it's just available on Google Docs. It's not available on Slides. On Slides, however, the Explore feature is still there. It allows the students to make searches online and to transfer images that they have here directly onto the slides, but it doesn't have the citation feature here. So to cite, the student will have to do it the old-fashioned way for that. I'm sorry the internet wasn't very friendly, but we did what we could. Any question we have? Yes. So that's a really good question. Can you have multiple teachers in one classroom? Absolutely. So if you go to this class here, you go to the About section. You can see I have invited Brian, who is my boss in my class there. So you can go down there and do invite teachers and type their name there, and they show up. Yeah. And you can also take them off. So, yeah, using these three dots here, you can remove, if you don't like them anymore. All right. Any other question? Yes. Is it possible to transfer pictures in Google Classroom, whichever way they take the picture? Yes, so they can draw on Google Classroom, capture that on the, they can draw a picture on their tablet, capture that, and then transfer it onto Google Classroom. And there are several ways you can do this. The easiest being to insert picture here on Google Slides. So they can insert the picture on Google Slides here, for example, insert image. They can upload from their computer that image, so they have to find a way in which, yes? Yes, yes. So, yeah, absolutely. So they'll have to upload the picture here in the drive, and then from here, they can go to Google Classroom and upload it and drop it in there, yes. Google Drive, yes. Google Drive, yes. Google Classroom, yes. Google Drive, you can draw on the tablet, capture the picture, and then there are options. When you're choosing where you want the picture to end up, Drive is usually one of them. Google Drive is usually one of them. You can try that.
Draw on any annotation software and then upload it to the cloud.
They have to cover it. So some of the software are not compatible with Google Classroom and Google Drive. Mm-hmm. Yep. Any other question? Yes. So if you have students and a lot of students, you may not be able to tell who was there that day or who wasn't. And absolutely. So the way I do it is, let me go back to that form. And I like the search feature in Google Drive. It's very fast. So I have the form here. All right, so what I do is, if you go to the settings, here, it gives you the option to collect email addresses, right? So you check that option. And then response receipt. That means a student logs in, signs into the class, they get an email confirming that. Here I've said if respondents requested, but you can also do it always, so it's automatically they get a response. So what this does is, whoever the person is that signs in, it collects that email. Yes. The student could be somewhere else and they can sign in, absolutely. Right. If it's a big class, it's difficult, yes. So there are some caveats here and there, but you can't get everything, but I'll say that again. So change the time that they sign in. So you can do one day, the first 10 minutes. Right. I agree with you. I like that. I'm going to use that in my next day. Yeah. The question was, how do you stop students from... All right. How do you stop the students from signing into your class when they are not physically in your room? Because they could be at their house and they open the form and sign in. And that's really difficult to do, but an option that she gave was to arbitrarily, during class, have the students sign in at different times. So today you may ask them, okay, I want you to sign in now, that's the first 10 minutes of class. On another day you can do somewhere in the middle of the class, on another day you can do at the end of class. So if somebody tries to sign in and actually signs in some other time, the form will not be active because you actually activate the form during the sign-in process only. Yeah. Yes? For Google Classroom? Right. Right. Thank you. Another brilliant idea. Yes, you can add a question here for the code. Let me open mine up. Yeah, so you can add an option here, which I'm going to do right now. So you can add an option. And to add a question, you just go to the plus sign here and add a question. So I'm going to add a question, and I'm going to add code. So you can leave that open, and then you're the only one who can give that code during class. So during every class, you just give that code at the beginning of class and the students typing it. Right. 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 Thank you. So give the code 1 minute, 2 minutes, shut it. This is why I say as teachers, we don't have all the answers. So if we accept that, that's a good thing. So I've just learned 2 things that I can use for my forms next time. So I can have them arbitrarily sign in, and I can use a code that I generate during the class. So I will know who was there and who wasn't. A very short window of time, 30 seconds, put that in, and then I shut down the sign-in form. Thank you so much. Into the class. All right, so I have to be in the student section here. That's the wrong class. So that's the code for the class. So once you get into the class, you go to the About section. It's not going to be in the stream. The About section is where I have the slides. All right, thank you so much for your patience. Really appreciate it. Thank you.